Hi there, I'm Tash and welcome back to English lessons with Inlingua Vancouver. Today I'm going to start a series of videos covering basic sentence structure and punctuation to help you when you are writing. I know that many students can speak and hear English quite well, but struggle when it comes to writing, so I want to help you with that. So let's start by talking about basic sentence structure. Okay? We're going to talk about sentences, fragments, clauses and phrases, which are all the building blocks we use to make complete sentences. So let's start at the top of my board. Up here I have 3 examples of an incomplete sentence. Let's look at them. 2 miles. You can see why this is incomplete. There is no information here. You don't know what is happening, who is doing what. There is no information. How about the next sentence? 2 miles every day. There is a little bit more information here. Okay? Maybe you have some idea what I'm talking about, but you don't know for sure. How about the third sentence? 2 miles every day, rain or shine. Well, there's quite a lot of information here. What might somebody do every day, in the rain or in the sunshine? Can you think of anything? We are missing the important part of the sentence that tells us who is doing what. So we need a subject, a person, or an item, like this pen, and we need a verb, an action word, to tell us what is happening. So, what is missing up here? The subject and the verb. Can you think of a subject and verb to add here? I can. There we go. Subject, I, and a verb, run. I run 2 miles. Period. Now it's a complete sentence. So this sentence has the information we need. There's the subject, the verb, okay? But it's not a lot of information. It's not a good sentence. The next one, I run 2 miles every day, is better. Okay? We get more information, we know what is happening, we know who is doing what, and we have some time information. But this last sentence, this one's even better. I run 2 miles every day, rain or shine. So here, we have extended the sentence. We have added more information. Okay? We can remove this here, and we still have a complete sentence, as you see. So what do we call this section on the end? Rain or shine? If we look only at this section, is that a sentence? Rain or shine? No, this is not a complete sentence, but we can take it away and leave a complete sentence. The key is that we have to have our subject and our verb to make the complete sentence. That is not the only key. Sometimes we can have a subject and a verb and have what's called a clause, an incomplete part of a sentence. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. For now, let's try and make a sentence out of this word here, sleeping. So we're going to need a subject and a verb to complete this sentence. Can you think of anything? Okay. I like dogs, so I'm going to say the dog is sleeping. Here we have the subject, and here we have the verb. It's the verb to be. And if we want, we can change the subject and then still keep the object of the sentence, what is happening. So we can change the subject, we can make it plural. How do you make something plural? Usually we add an S, and then we need to change the form of the verb to be, because now we are talking about more than one dog. The dogs are sleeping. And again, we can change this to talk about anyone who might be asleep, or anything like a dog. I can say the teacher is sleeping, the student is sleeping. I can even make what's called a compound subject and have 2 things that are sleeping. For example, the dog and the cat are sleeping. And we still have a complete sentence. We've got our subject, we've got our verb. This is a good sentence. But sometimes that is not enough. Okay? Clauses and phrases. These are parts of a sentence that we can add into our writing to make our sentences longer and more exciting, more interesting. Have a look at this. Until I turn 16. Can you see a subject, a person or object? I. How about a verb, an action word? Can you see a verb? Turn. Until I turn 16. Do you think this is a complete sentence? No, it's not. We don't know what is happening or what isn't happening. We have this time word, until, and we have the person, I, turn 16, so my 16th birthday, but we don't know what we are talking about at all. So we have to have more information than this. This is a clause. On its own, it is not a complete sentence. We need more information. Here we go. I can't drive until I turn 16. Period. Now this is a complete sentence. Okay? We have subject, we have a verb, we have an object. Then we have this clause that gives much more information. If I take away this clause, I can't drive, then I'm just saying I don't have the ability, and that's not true. Okay? Maybe the person can drive, but is not allowed by the law. Or maybe the person doesn't have a car and is not allowed to drive until they turn 16 and they get a car for their birthday. This alone is a sentence, but it is not a good sentence. This gives us much more information. This clause helps us to explain what we are talking about. This is our clause, this whole thing. Okay. And underneath there, I have my big mouth. Is this a clause? This is not a clause. This is a phrase. My big mouth. It's the first part of a sentence, but we don't know what is happening. We have no verb, we have no action word, and so we have no information. We have to add in the rest of the sentence so we know what is happening. My big mouth gets me in trouble. So again, we have a clause here, gets me in trouble. It's not a complete sentence, but we have a verb, we have a subject, okay. But we need the beginning of the sentence. We need to know what is happening. And so we don't have a subject. We need the subject performing this verb. My big mouth is the subject, gets me in trouble. So this, that's going to get confusing. This is a phrase. I'm going to write that in there. And what about a fragment? Have you heard this word before? Fragment means part of something. If I drop a mug, for example, pick up the little pieces, those are fragments. And it's the same meaning when we talk about English. A fragment is something little, it's broken, and it needs more to be a complete sentence. So how can we tell if something is a sentence or a fragment? Look here. Soon after Kelly fell asleep. Listen to that. Soon after Kelly fell asleep. Does that sound like a complete sentence to you? It's not a complete sentence. We don't know what has happened after Kelly fell asleep. We have this situation, Kelly fell asleep. And soon after what? What happened? But we can easily make this sentence complete. Do you know how? We need some punctuation. I'm going to say the sentence again, and I want you to listen and see if you can hear where to put a comma, a pause. Soon after, Kelly fell asleep. If we add a comma here, this becomes a complete sentence. It's no longer a fragment. We have a pause, which tells us that we are connecting the information to something else. Soon after, Kelly fell asleep. Something has happened before, we have another sentence in our writing, and now we are adding a new sentence for more information. These time words often need a comma to give that full sentence structure. Before I went shopping. It's the same situation. Before I went shopping, something, something, something. If I have no pause here, the sentence is not complete. Before I went shopping, I went to the mall. Before I went shopping, I had a cup of coffee. When we say, before I went shopping, there is a gap here. We need to finish the sentence. Or, we can add in our pause, before I went shopping. And we know that there was another sentence in front that gave us more information. I got home late last night, before I went shopping. Before I got home late, I went shopping. So the simple addition of this punctuation creates a full sentence out of a fragment. When we have no comma, this is a fragment. It is not enough information. In English writing, there are a few situations where a fragment is okay. You can use a fragment in these 3 scenarios. For emphasis, when we want to exaggerate something, we often use a fragment. I thought I heard you. Yes! And Tom! This is not a full sentence. This is not a full sentence. But we have punctuation as though they are full sentences. Yes! Is not a sentence. There's no information. And Tom! It's not a sentence. There's no information. But in this situation, we are adding emphasis to a different situation. I thought I heard you. Yes! I was right. I heard you. Thought so. I was right. Yes! And Tom! We're adding emphasis. We're saying it is not only you, it is Tom as well. More people than I expected. I am emphasizing. We also use fragments a lot in dialogue. So dialogue, when somebody is speaking. When you are talking, it is normal to use parts of sentences. We don't write everything out very carefully when we are speaking. We just say what comes to mind. So, like this, maybe you're talking to your friend, and you want to ask them a question. More fries? This is a fragment. It's not a full sentence. The full sentence is, do you want more fries? It's very long, and if you're writing it down, maybe you would write the whole thing. When you're speaking to your friend, don't need to worry. So we say, more fries? Maybe your friend says, sure. This is also a fragment. It's not a complete sentence. And then they stop eating. They don't eat all the fries. And you ask them, full? Do you know what the full question here would be? Are you full? But we don't need to say that, because in dialogue we can understand the meaning. So we can use this fragment, full, and that's not a problem. And maybe they say, yeah. We have the same situation here. Okay. This is not a full sentence, it's just a fragment, but in dialogue, that's totally okay. You can say yes or yep. You don't have to say, yep, I'm full. And one more time that we can use fragments instead of a full sentence is in exclamations. So here, you actually will notice there are a lot of exclamations associated with fragments. Exclamations like, oh no! It's not a full sentence. Okay, a full sentence might be, oh no, a dinosaur is attacking me! Okay, when you have a subject and a verb, you have a situation. This is a fragment, no information, but we are exaggerating something, we are making an exclamation, and we don't have to use the entire sentence. Absolutely not. Okay. There would be more information here if we wanted to use a full sentence. Absolutely not. You cannot go to the mall today. You haven't finished your homework. But in this situation, we are just exaggerating. We're making an exclamation. Absolutely not. No. Oh no, absolutely not. Incomplete sentences, yeah, they're fragments, but that's okay in these situations. Many times it sounds like people are speaking. When we have questions, or we can have exclamation marks. To add emphasis, to make things more dramatic, we use fragments, and it makes our writing a little more interesting in dialogue. But in formal writing, we always try not to use fragments. Okay. So now I have broken down some parts of sentence structure for you. I'm going to go, and I hope you tune back in for more lessons with us in Lingua Vancouver, and I'm going to talk to you about different kinds of punctuation to help add interest to your writing. See you next time!